uh, as as our colleagues also said earlier, that this is the first time that the constituency will be dealing with the ozone matters or the ozone governance. Although we have, I think it was like 15 years ago with Tunza that they have some engagement on ozone. So we would like to thank the Secretariat for allowing the youth to be observers, not only in this side event, but to the whole meeting to observe how the discussions are going, because the ozone matters are a bit technical, not only on the part of policy, but we all know that uh, we still need to address the issues for the ozone, although it's the most successful multilateral environmental agreements in the history. So uh, I guess I'll just share a bit, and back to you, Winnie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clarence. We are going to get some remarks from one of us. Yes, Miss Amy.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the fact that this is the first time that the youth have been involved in MOP, and we are very grateful for this opportunity. And youth action is it's very important in climate action and the ozone and the facing down of the HFCs. And therefore, during this roundtable discussion, we're gonna talk about how the youth can be involved and some of the activities that we as the youth can participate in to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Amy. I'm going to give the next chance to one of us, Mr. Ben Victor, to begin the conversations.
Well, I'll take this opportunity once again to thank the Secretariat and thank Clarence for having coordinated and gotten us this opportunity to be here. We would like to acknowledge that it's the first time the youth have been involved in these meetings, and we're just requesting that from now on, we will have more inclusion of the youths, not only from Kenya, but from other countries, so that we can have more youths engaged. And having been a part of this as observers, we would like to acknowledge that it was quite technical, the discussions were quite technical for us. And that's why we, in our youth statement, we urge for creation of capacity building and workshops and forums that can further equip the youths with the necessary information. Because through getting that information, we would be able to know what are some of the actions and what roles can we play in the meetings, and how do we then chart a path forward and in support of the ozone protection. So thank you so much. And maybe if Zuahir online has something to add on to that.
Yes, am I audible? Just to understand that this is kind of an introductory remark, maybe we will get opportunity to speak a bit later. But yes, first of all, I want to thank the Secretariat, Ozone Secretariat, for supporting the youth constituency to bringing a delegation there. This is for the first time we have been successful in accrediting 5 young individuals from Kenya to be the observers to the MOP35. Besides, we also got the opportunity to organize this side event. First of all, obviously, Ozone Secretariat and its work is way too technical for many people to understand. And obviously, there are a lot of young people out there maybe working with different, research organizations or universities on this matter. But just one thing to remind that a lot of them don't have the capacity to engage this process, because it's not just, understanding the substantive matters, it's also understanding the process. And here, comes the Children and Youth Major Group or the youth constituency. It's our responsibility to, to familiarize all these processes to the people, to the young people, so that they can bring their fresh perspective, they can bring their motivation, they can bring their work. Obviously, a lot of entrepreneurs out there who can help us, in phasing out the HFCs, which is obviously one of the targets of our Kigali Amendment. So we already know that environmental goals cannot be achieved in silos. So suppose we are trying to achieve some goals individually. We achieve that maybe after a certain period of time, but what will happen next? Because we have seen when we try to achieve one single environmental goal in a siloed way, we have created another problem for future to be negotiated. And with the current situation, geopolitical situation, and the limited access to the resources, we understand, and it's obviously the best way to address all the environmental issues together. And here comes how Kigali Amendment can provide for our climate agenda. We're already challenged with a lot of targets and goals. In other process, we have that UNEP35, Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, where we are actually kind of not being able to successful in achieving those goals. The stock-taking process is underway, and if we see the outcome of we are waiting for the outcome of the stock-taking process, and it's already evident that we are not on the track to achieve our climate goal by 2030 or the pre-industrial level. But we have an opportunity, and that is Kigali Amendment. Ozone protocols and its amendments are already very successful, maybe one of the most successful ones so far among all the MES. But the Kigali Amendment, it's kind of a new, bringing new hope to our climate space. We have in a discussion with the Secretariat, we have discussion with many institutions how we can promote Kigali Amendment. A lot of people, they don't know about this amendment. They don't know how to engage in this process. We have been working on this. Earlier this year, we have started, organizing webinars. We have put on a lot of social media resources and YouTube resources on these MES, and that's available on our YouTube. That's why we have people now who started working this, and they need more and more capacity building support from the Secretariat, from the member states who have that capacity, who have been engaging in the process for long, so that young people can understand the landscape of this process. And obviously, as you know, that Montreal Protocol, when it was adopted back in 1987, we didn't have the momentum of civil society engagement in that we have now. Maybe that was not recognized. We didn't have all this major group of stakeholder system. We didn't have a lot of other systems at that time. So maybe we didn't talk much about civil society stakeholder engagement in this process. Yeah, there are few civil society organizations and institutions, research institutions that are engaged. But I think that we have still a room to engage young people as a constituent room to this process. I'd like to request all the member states. We have our young people on ground there. They're going to present a closing intervention that I got to know. Obviously, we'll share about our expectations and demands from this process, and in future for the next one, the MOP36 and the next COP of the Vienna Convention. We are hopeful that we'll be able to bring some young scientists and researchers who are working on ozone and climate and the related issues there. At last, from our side, from the Children and Youth Major Group side, we have now prepared a roadmap that we have already sharing with many member states, with UNEP, and we are ready to share with others who are interested to see how we are going to engage young people in different environmental governance processes and make sure that young people are addressing all the environmental issues in a very collective way, unified way, not like other observers. Maybe we can learn from our predecessors who actually failed to address all the issues together in a unified way. We will change the narrative of addressing the issues, environmental issues. I'll stop there. I'm looking forward to a very fruitful and very interactive discussion, though we might not have a lot of people inside the room, but I understand that we have some, we have some motivated minds in the room and the qualified ones to share all the thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zuhair Ahmed. I'm going to invite Mr. Edwin Maina to give us the remarks of the event.
Good afternoon, everyone, again. It's a privilege to be here and an honor to be here this afternoon because it is the very first time in over 30 years that the youth have been given a platform to come and observe and also to give their remarks on the MOP. So I'd like to share some extended thoughts on the valuable experiences and profound insights that we gained during the event. First, the MOP35 has retaliated the essential role of global connection. The Montreal Protocol stands as a testament to what can be achieved when nations unite to address a shared global challenge. The unwavering commitment of the parties to phase out harmful substances and protect the ozone layer is a true inspiration. Then we are encouraged by the inclusivity that MOP35 has shown by including us, the youth observers, and various stakeholders in the discussion. Our voices have been heard, and we appreciate the efforts made to engage with us. However, we call for more inclusivity because right now we as youth just came as observers, and we'd like to be in the table making some of the decisions. And again, about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the discussion on the potential impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic to HFC consumption for Group 1 of Article 5 were particularly relevant. The pandemic has disrupted various aspects of our lives, and it is essential to ensure that it does not hinder the progress of the Montreal Protocol, adaptation and flexibility in response to such challenges, which are very critical. In conclusion, MOP35 has been an enlightening experience, and it is very essential to recognize the progress made and the commitment of nations to fulfill their obligations under the Montreal Protocol. Nevertheless, there is much work to be done, and the youth are ready to collaborate with the stakeholders to ensure a sustainable and ozone-protected future. We look forward to continued engagement and action in the spirit of environmental preservation and integrity equity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edwin Maina. We are going to invite the...
Well, before we can start, we can see Clarence is raising his hand. So maybe Clarence, you have something to say?
Yes, I would just like to add the thoughts of Zuhair earlier. So regarding the ozone, so on the context of Asia Pacific region, and we have the AP wrap-up, or the Asia Pacific Regional Action Program on air pollution. So if you have read that document, there are some synergies between addressing the ozone and addressing clean air at the same time. So this is being led by CCAC, or Climate and Clean Air Coalition, and the ESCAP, or Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific. So number one is through reduction and through phasing out ozone depleting substances such as CFCs and HFCs, as my colleagues shared earlier, and halons. So they often contribute to air pollution as well. So it does not only contribute to the overall ozone, but when it comes to if we see the level below the troposphere and up to the biosphere, so they often contribute to the pollution. So by phasing out these substances, as outlined also in the Montreal Protocol and the recent Kigali Amendment, so we can simultaneously reduce our emission of harmful pollution pollutants that degrade air quality. So with this, by addressing ozone, air pollution, we can also achieve our climate agenda. Because as the theme of this side event, to achieve the climate agenda, so there are interconnectedness, or there are connections between them. And of course, the health benefits, so maintaining a healthy ozone layer, so it helps shield the earth from harmful UV rays. So as we all know, then this protection has a direct impact also on human health, because reduced UV exposure, it means we have a fewer cases of skin cancer, the eye issues such as cataracts and other UV-related issues, which is, I guess, being addressed since the Montreal Protocol has been adopted. And lastly, climate change mitigation, because some substances that deplete the ozone layer are also potent GHG, or greenhouse gas, contributing to climate change. Thus, it contributes to global boiling. So as the UN Secretary General said that starting this year, we experience global boiling. So it's not global warming now. So as seen in the Kigali Amendment as well, if you've read the terms there, phasing out these substances not only protects the ozone layer, but also helps in mitigating the climate, because we all know that a cooler planet leads to cleaner air, as it reduces the formulation of ground level ozone and other air pollutants such as the SLCPs, or short-lived climate pollutants. And I believe that international agreements, MEAs, like Montreal Protocol and its Kigali Amendment, demonstrates how member states can work together to address these connections. And one important or significant thing that we need to address in the next meetings, so how do we integrate an approach where stakeholders are being engaged in the decision making, as Montreal Protocol is, I think, the winning protocol or MEA among all the MEAs. So with that, thank you again for the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Clarence. And having heard the remarks from Mr. Clarence, we are opening the discussion on roundtable. And perhaps our first question will be in regards to the youths having attended the MOP35, and this having been the first time. Maybe our panelists could just tell us what could have been the hindrances as to why the youths were not able to join any of the MOP meetings, and maybe from the country that you're representing or the industry that you're representing, what do you think is are there youths included, or if they're not, what could be the reason that the youths are not on these platforms? Thank you.
Thank you. So I think responding to that, the issue of harmonizing the commitment between the youth action and climate agenda, and also the Kigali Amendment, it is very essential, I think, to include the youth. Why? Because the work in Montreal Protocol as well as the UNFCCC, it's not a simple work. It's need more youth to be included, because the work today will affect on the future. So in order to continue the work, our work, so we need the youth to really understand how the situation is, not only the substantive issue, but also on how to deal with the process. And so I think the youth inclusivity is very important here. And also, I believe that earlier exposure to the issue will be a better understanding for the youth. And also for the Montreal Protocol, I think the issue is not as popular as the climate change, but we cannot undermine the importance of any of this. So I think we need to explore more on how the youth can contribute within the Montreal Protocol.
Maybe let's hear from Portugal.
Yes, of course. I think we have to look at through various lenses. I think when it comes to the difficulties that youth feel, I think it should be some of my colleague panelists to talk about it, talking from a member state's perspective, and maybe identifying some of the difficulties that we feel sometimes to engage directly with youth and stakeholders in general, and going by stages. The first one regarding our concrete contributions on processes like this, like the Montreal Protocol, that is an intergovernmental process, so between governments. When we arrive to these meetings, we arrive with the position that was debated on a national level, and in the case of Portugal, not only national level, but communitary level as well, at the level of the European Union. And the positions that we bring here, they are the result of 6 or 7 months of the discussion. So one of the difficulties that we feel, maybe, and that's why we see the difficulty to put youth priorities on our comments, because they come very late at the game, and it's difficult then to coordinate internally with our country, with our government, and with the other countries on the EU. So on this, my first suggestion, and to improve this kind of engagement, would be to come earlier in the game, to start the conversations on your national level. And here we have the representatives from Kenya, and then I know that Zahir is from Bangladesh, if I'm not wrong, Clarence, Philippines. Yes, to try on a national level to start this discussion and engage with your focal points, giving them your opinions as constituency. Of course, it's at a global level, but the best way to really change the intergovernmental, or to influence the intergovernmental process, it's to influence your national position, not here at the process, because then here so many things are happening that even with this momentum that we have behind stakeholder participation, it's hard for us to respond back to our leaders at home and say we changed our position late in the game because the stakeholders ask us. So this would be the first thing that I would say. The second thing, concrete to the Montreal process, even if I'm really new on this process as well, I understand that this is a very industry driven and very industry influenced process. They bring added value. They are here from the beginning. You stakeholders are not from the beginning on the process. So what would improve, my suggestion would be to try, one, be pragmatic on the way that you approach this, build on this first opportunity to be here as observers, to understand where you can influence, how you can influence, because every process has its specificities. You cannot engage on biodiversity the same way that you engage on such a technical process. So even internally for your coordination, it would be good to engage youth scientists that understand how policy is made, and try to engage them to really bring and be pragmatic on the way that you contribute. It's difficult also for member states, and I think it's good to have an opening on this. It's difficult when we have an intervention that asks 10 things, and all the things that you ask, they are very legitimate. But when we have 10 requests from youth, 10 requests from women, 10 requests from indigenous people, and once again, all of them are very legitimate, but it's very difficult to respond and answer to all of them. So, and I will take these words from the chair of SABSTA that I heard last week. You don't have a lot of bullets, you have 1 or 2 to use on these meetings. It's good to have a long-term strategy and use them wisely. So on this case, you started now, try to see how you can better first internally coordinate yourselves, and second, when you come here, come with 1 or 2 topics first to improve this engagement, and then later in the game to really influence the decisions. And for now, it would be this.
Thank you so much. Any speaker who would like to add on to that?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would start by echoing the words of Kofi Annan, the former United Nations Secretary General, who articulated that meeting of parties of the Montreal Protocol is one of the most or one of the best strategies that have been used to be successful, to bring success in what they are working on. So I would, in this perspective, represent the students and also the young people, the youth, in saying that the youth are not well aware of the Montreal Protocol. I don't think they have I don't think they are well articulated to the awareness being created and also the kind of work that is happening behind the background. So it is really important for the children and youth to venture into understanding and also venture into research, especially in climate-related situations. For example, the MOP, the meeting of parties has been there in existence since 1987 and has even had an amendment in 2016. So you imagine that in all that time, there has not been a youth who has come up to represent the youth in the meeting of parties due to the maybe hindrance of lack of awareness. So the youth need to create awareness. They also in this challenge, as a challenge, I think the youth who have been given this opportunity as a delegation, as observers, they need to go back to their communities and also to their countries and also to the institutions or maybe learning institutions to create awareness and also engage in positive impacted discussions on the same. So I think that is a solution from in accordance to the hindrance of the youth being involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Winnie.
Okay, we're going to get to our question and answer forum. We're going to ask some questions to our panelists and the audience at large. I'm going to begin from the Kenyan representatives. Here's my question. This is the first time that the youths are part of the MOP35. Can we look forward to more of such involvement by the youth in the future? Or should we assume that this is the first and the last time they're going to get involved?
Okay, thank you for the good question. Just to add on what our delegation from Portugal has added, you can take advantage even of the National Ozone Unit focal point here. They hold several workshops, but I've not seen youth there. They do from industry, from government, but the youth, you can start penetrating along those workshops, get the technical know-how and the aspects around your areas of interest around the ozone issues. So from there now, when the open-ended meetings come up, you can now start penetrating. By the time you're getting to the MOP, you get to know how MOP meetings are planned from the open-ended workshops, yeah. But start at the national level, as you have been informed, from the National Ozone Unit focal person. He's around. I think I can link you up to him. That's how you start engaging. Once he gets your attention, you can even go to the CS, the minister. She gets to know that we have youth interested in ozone issues. Maybe financial support now will come to send delegates. If you move from observers to stakeholders, and your inputs will start getting even to the national positions. Yeah. So don't take this as your last. It's the start of a long journey for you.
Thank you so much for that. My next question goes to the delegate of Indonesia, Ms. Dixie. This is my question. As an individual delegate, what have you done to include the youth in the participation of MOP35 and climate change in general?
Thank you. Maybe I will share about my experience within the NOU, National Ozone Unit. So I'm only dealing with the Montreal Protocol. I'm not dealing with the climate. But how is in my country, I bring the youth to be inclusive to our work in the Montreal Protocol. Actually, to put the youth for the decision, as Luis has said, that this Montreal Protocol is industry driven, and yet for the discussion, the deliberation, we need to be parties to have a voice. I don't think that the other MES have this youth group to be included within the deliberation. I'm not sure about the other, but for youth, I think there is an opportunity in terms of building awareness, because I see that the youth have strong voices to build the awareness within many groups. You can touch to your groups within the youth, or maybe reach out to another groups like women as you work here. And also, I think the youth should be one of the promising voices to spread the word about the Montreal Protocol. And I have seen many proofs that youth voices have the power to move not only a nation, but also the whole world. And also with the gain progress with the technology and social media, I think the youth have more opportunity to share the awareness within the Montreal Protocol.
Thank you so much for that. My next question goes to Mr. Luis Miguel, Deputy Representative of UNEP and UN Habitat from Portugal. Here's my question. Why is it important for youth inclusivity in climate agenda conversations and Montreal Protocol discussion?
So once again, difficult question that has two or three different layers. First of all, in centering on the Montreal Protocol and building upon this industry-driven process, youth and stakeholders in general have the responsibility and have the good thing for the process of balancing the scale. When you have someone, and of course there is excellent examples on industry that are not profit driven, but we still have a model that is very directed to the profit, and stakeholders and youth come here, at least I hope, normally with the other part of the spectrum, and give this connection to what is really happening on the floor and to the changes that we need and how the impacts are felt. Going to the climate conversation, and our colleague from Indonesia already talked about this. This is an intergenerational problem. The decisions that we are making today, they will impact generations for 10, 20, 30 and more years. And if they are not on the discussion from the beginning, they will have no power to decide how their lives will be in 20, 30 years. Additionally, one thing we can be sure at this moment, we have been working on the environmental field in terms of multilateral agreements for 40, 50 years. The results are not awesome. Member states' fault, of course, but the results are not awesome. Business as usual on this way of conducting meetings, on the interventions that we make, how we build our national positions won't work to solve the problems that we face ahead. Of course, this is a little bit utopic, and I see it every day. Even I have a fair share of the guilt as well. But the truth is that youth brings a new perspective to the table, how to discuss things. Youth are faced with things that even myself, when I was 18 or 19 years old, 10 years ago, I didn't face. You have different challenges, different access to information. And because of that, you bring new ways of thinking and new ways of discussing things, new way of conducting processes. And honestly, on a personal level, not on a national level, even if I can share good practices that we have in Portugal, but at a personal level, I think that's very good. When we have different ways of discussing things, solutions will be different, and maybe the results will be better than the ones that we have right now.
Thank you so much for that. My next question goes to the representative of Indonesia, Ms. Dixie. And here is my question. According to you, how can the youths be involved in achieving Kigali Amendment goals?
Okay, thank you. I think specifically to the Kigali Amendment goals, what we need now is building awareness, as not so many people knows about HFC. But when you talk about Montreal Protocol, most of them know CFC, but not HFC. And especially when now the Kigali Amendment is not only achieving its own goal, but also benefiting to climate change. So I think there is a big opportunity to build more awareness on this HFC. So I think the youth could try to explore more on that.
Perhaps any speakers would like to add on to that? Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps if I can also remind the youths. Yeah, for the if we talk about the Montreal Protocol, we talk about the CFC phase out, and then that's long time ago. And then after that, we have to phase out also the HCFCs. And then now we are starting to phase down the HFCs. And we talk about not only for the 1 or 2 years, we talk about the objective is until 2045 to 2050. So people who sit here today perhaps cannot continue the work until 2045. So that's, I think, will give the insight for the youths that you are very important to think about the objective of the Kigali Amendment. That's we are going to achieve to pass down 80% of HFC by 2045 for the Article 5 countries. And pass down of HFC is not only just talking about the technology, but also the scientific. We have the scientific assessment panel, the technology economic assessment panel that need the youth to think about the future. What kind of technology that will be the alternative for the HFC later on. So I think the youth will have the important role for the Montreal Protocol later to achieve the objective. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for that. And maybe online, Zuahir, you have something to add on to?
No, I actually wanted to add some closing remarks from my side, especially in regards to the youth engagement and how we can promote, the implementation of Kigali Amendment. But it's up to, I'm not sure what's the schedule now. Do you have any other agenda item, like maybe the member states representatives? Do they have still have any point to share? Then maybe I can come later.
Thank you for that, Zuahir, though we did not quite get what you're asking for.
I think he asked if we have anything more to say. I don't know if we have any question, or if not, I would have some things to say, but if we have any question, I don't want to be in the middle, sorry.
No, we don't have any other questions.
No, so thank you, Zuahir, for giving us the space for this. I think it's very important, and now I will mix a little bit my position as a national representative and as a person that could be part of your constituency. I think we have to work in several things, not only on the Kigali Amendment, but on meaningful youth engagement in general, on decision making. The first thing for sure is education, green skills, green jobs, awareness about intergovernmental and international environmental processes are very important, and they will only come if the people that now are facing these difficulties and are breaking barriers with this stakeholder participation momentum ask for it on our governments. Changes that are made at the educational level are normally prerogative of the national sovereignty. So if we want these changes and people to be more capable on the future to participate in this process, we have to start back at home and ask our governments to include this since we are young on the curriculums of schools. This will improve the awareness, and better prepared people will also improve awareness on the decision makers that youth can participate from really young on the discussions and can contribute to the discussions meaningfully. Then in terms of capacity building, it's not only important to have the capacity building on what is the Kigali Amendment, what is the Montreal Protocol, what is the UNFCCC, what are the scientific parts about it. What is important from the beginning to build capacity as well on how to engage on negotiations, how to engage with parties that have their national perspectives and national priorities, and engage on how policies at the national level are important. To really have an impactful participation when your position is built, it would be very helpful if you already have all this awareness, because then this would help on how you participate, on the value of your participations, and it will make parties look to stakeholders and really feel like something is being added. Then, of course, at the process level, we need some changes. Member states have to be open to change the rules of procedure on biodiversity. There's a very good practice that I just learned last week, and I would love to see on other processes that stakeholders can do proposals of amendments to the text, and then parties, if they agree with, they raise their hand, and the suggestion is included on the text. Maybe it's a good practice that we should try to put on other negotiated texts and other negotiated processes. Then, of course, this is a responsibility not only from my country, but a lot from the global north. The funds are very important for this. I know that Zaire and Clarence, for example, are very capable of participating on a high level at the discussions, like our colleagues from Kenya here are, but the truth is that they didn't have the support to travel here, and the more support we give, the more people we bring from all over the world to this discussion, the better. And here it's on the member states side to change a little bit, and we hope that in the future, maybe already on UNEP 6, we have something on this. And then the final thing is, it's important to look ahead. It's important for you to look to this first participation and put to the back that for 35 years you didn't, 35 MOPs you didn't participate, and think now how you can engage better. Of course, it's important to have a global and general approach to the narrative of changing our environmental processes discussed, break the silos, how Zaire said it. But the truth is that to achieve something on environment negotiations on a multilateral level, the only option was to break the silos, because every time that we tried to discuss everything at the same time, we didn't reach any decision. So with all the bad things that come from this breaking the silos, the truth is that this is the only way until now that we found to achieve progress, and I think it will be difficult to change it on the near future. So we have to look how we can best take advantage of this. And once again, here is where the stakeholders and youth in particular enter, because you are a cross-cutting constituency. You touch upon scientists, indigenous people, business, industry, you touch upon everything. And you are the better voices that we have to give us this cross-cutting view of how to change things. Because at the national level, my colleague here is from the Portuguese Environment Agency. We should be in touch every week, but it's the first time that we are in touch. Like it was the first time last week that I was in touch with my biodiversity colleagues, because it's almost impossible to be in touch with everyone at the national level. So you also bring this to the table. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Maybe our colleague Amy, who has been in the space, partaking in some of the youth actions. Anything you could add, Amy?
Just to add on what has been said by our delegates is that to just emphasize on the fact that the youth bring fresh perspectives to the table. There are also innovative ideas that we can come up with. You know, we can raise awareness to the other people, as you have said, that a lot of people don't have the knowledge about the Montreal Protocol, the Kigali Amendment. So we can raise awareness and spread the knowledge to other people as well. And at the same time, in all these things that we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be able to create a sustainable future and inspire future generations, because we are the nexus between the generation that's coming and the people who are already here. So this conversation will be able to continue without, having a break. It's going to be seamless as the youth are there. So the flow of information is going to be seamless, and that will create a sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Perhaps we can give the floor to the Kenyan representatives.
Sure. What is the question?
There is no question. You're just giving your views.
I see. So this is my first time being involved with the youth and children major group in this context as well. And I've heard a lot of questions being thrown to government as to how you can be involved. But I think the greatest advice I could give you is don't wait for people to tell you how you can be involved. You come tell us how you want to be involved. I think for the climate summit, for COP, for the ocean conference, youth approached government and told us how they want to be involved. And that's the only way you'll have the power, is if you just take it. So please don't wait for us.
That's a great point. The table is there, so it's upon us youths to come and have seats on the table. I believe that's a great point and motivation for the young people. Maybe our brother there, could you be having anything to add on to the information?
Thank you for giving me the floor. My name is Robel. I'm from Eritrea. It's good to have such kind of various perspective to know about the children and the youth involvement, especially in the Montreal Protocol, which is the very successful multilateral environment agreement. I have learned a lot, which can be applied at the national level, because we have one association which deals with youth and students in our country. And I found very important the very fact that taking the youth to spread the awareness, the information that you want across various groups of the society. But at last, I just want to emphasize the fact that usually in such kind of negotiations, the best way to make an impact is to involve in a negotiation, and to do so we need to have a better perspective than anybody can provide as a platform. So if we can have a different idea that can help the convention and other parties, that can help them to if further implement in a good way, this will create the youth, especially this kind of group, to give more space and to have more impact on the convention as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother. Maybe Mr. John.
Okay, speaking from a youth in science perspective, I think children and youth major group constituency has a very big part to play in terms of policy development in the member states. I will mention three branches of how youths I will suggest three branches of how youths can drive this agenda of the youth inclusivity into meeting of parties. I would mention in terms of inclusivity, where the youth should take part in ensuring that the discussion on the scientific panel tip also is a major discussion to them, where they need to be included in such panels for the exposure and also a learning purpose. They also need to advocate for research labs or facilities in terms of maybe universities or learning institutions where they are from in their member states. I believe that the climate discussion came up in the universities, and also the curriculum was implemented in many institutions due to the youth advocacy. So I believe the youth advocacy in the universities and also learning institutions is very important. Then I will go to the second branch, that is for jobs and also opportunities. I will add that youths in different member states in the constituency need to come up together and have a request in their member states to be included in the delegations to meeting of parties, and also OEWG as exposure activity, so that the youth can get jobs and also the youth can understand what is in store for us. I know from the Kigali Amendment, I think HFCs should be out by the end of the 21st century. So I can imagine that the youth, that is the time that maybe, or the children, that is the time that maybe they will be in government or also in the delegations. So I think that that is a gap that can be filled. I believe also the youth can be involved in policy implementations in their various members of policy in member states. The youth have the capability of having the inclusivity part in the government, especially in parliament and also in the ministries. So they have the ability to write proposals, write policies, and also forward them to the government officials so that they can be placed into action. Finally, I'll put the third branch, that is the exposure part, where the exposure part will lead to the achievement of UN SDGs, where youth can be partners in MOP, where they can maybe even have a pre-MOP for the youth, so that they can come up with agendas and items to be placed in MOP. So the youth also are great innovators. We have great innovators who have come up with innovations in mental health, in climate action, and also now in MOP, they can add their innovations. So in the phase out of HFCs, what is next? In refrigerations and in the cooling systems, how are we going to come up with new ideas if we are facing out HFCs? What's next? So that's what the youth can bridge the gap with and come up with ideas. So those are the three branches, and I believe the children and youth major group constituency can come up with such solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. John, for your insights. And maybe before we get the closing remarks, can Indonesia add something on the table?
Thank you. I think before closing, I would like to add, I think everything is already said before by Louis or by John. But one more thing for the youth, as you are now the observer for this MOP35, I think this is a very big opportunity to set some strategy, what you need to do before. Everyone has said what they have in their mind. So it's now time for you to map the strategy. And last but not least is how you can make a good networking here. You can meet everyone here. So this is the chance for you to be seen by them. So, and maybe in the future, we can make it in other region to do the same for you, to give more space, and then all the youth from all the region can do something for this Montreal Protocol. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Indonesia. Maybe we give the chance to Zuhair.
Thank you, the moderators. And at my closing remark, I would like to thank our member state delegates from Indonesia, Kenya, Portugal for coming and attending the side event, putting their thoughts and perception for further discussion. And I believe that this is the first time we're engaging, and this is the beginning, and we will keep engaging. As the constituency in the process, we'll keep working with the Secretariat, we'll keep working with the member states how we can better engage in this process and facilitate further engagement from young people, from educational institution, from different parts of the society. Because I understand that young people are not maybe the part of a constituency, maybe they're the most diverse community that we have in our society. They're part of the industries, they're part of the entrepreneurs, group of entrepreneurs, they're part of the scientists, they're part of the indigenous people. So it's important to understand and acknowledge this intersectionality and engage with the young people from different parts of our community and society. And I also understand meaningful youth engagement doesn't mean that it has to be only through the constituency. It can be through different entities, maybe the educational institutions. Governments can partner with the educational institution to develop the human resources for the further implementation of the Montreal Protocol, its amendments, especially the Kigali Amendments, and then bringing those people to the delegation, like Miguel, Sela. They are our examples of youth delegates from their own countries. They are young people who are part of the national delegation, and this is kind of inspiration for others. And I think other member states, they should build on all that, and they can put young people in the decision-making positions like this. Another thing is that that I think we should discuss further, maybe later in any future side events or webinars, to ensure complementarity among all the national action plans and national implementation plans in compliance with various multilateral agreements. We have seen that whenever we are trying to translate all these global protocols and MES into national actions through our national actions plan, national implementation plan. It depends on like how it's framed in different MES. In many times we have seen there is no complementarity among all these national action plans and national implementation plans. In some times we have seen these are even contradictory. So we really need to make sure that all these plans are are taking into consideration what's happening in other policy process and ensuring complementarity for the better implementation of our climate goals and targets. Secondly, obviously implementation of all the MEAs, their amendments, protocols, this completely depends on the financial contribution by our member states and how the mechanism of the financial mechanism of all the MES. So in future, maybe we should also assess the efficiency of the multilateral funds for the implementation of the Montreal Protocol. On this regard, I can share one of the interventions that has been taken by the Children and Youth Major Group, that we have started researching. We have started a comparative analysis of youth engagement and civil society engagement in all the MES and science policy interfaces, and we look forward to publish a policy brief before UNIA 6, because I understand that UNIA is an opportunity for us, the UNIA 6 is an opportunity for us to further discuss, the collaboration between MES and collaboration between MES, among MES, and collaboration between MES and UNEP and other UN entities, and how we can, best mobilize our resources for the implementation of the MES. So we will try to publish a report before that. We also look forward to conduct another research on youth engagement and the efficiency of all the multilateral funds and the financial mechanisms that we have for different MES. So in future, for the emerging ones like the INC, the plastics treaty that we are going to have, or the science policy panel on chemicals and waste pollution, we can suggest the better engagement mechanism. And for the existing one, we can also suggest how they can improve their stakeholder engagement in the implementation of their own MES. On this regard, we want to invite all of you to the Global Youth Environment Assembly that is tentatively scheduled to take place on the 17th and the 18th of February before OECPR and UNIA 6, where we have dedicated session. We'll have dedicated session on youth engagement, sessions on youth engagement in MES, in science policy interfaces, and in multilateral financial mechanisms. We, from the Children and Youth Major Group side, we cordially invite all of you, maybe from the member state, you can try to bring your young people in the part of the delegation, and then, connect them with us so that we can discuss how we can collaborate and how we can better advocate for the meaningful youth engagement. I'll stop there. Again, thank you for your time, for your contribution to this side event, and obviously the Secretariat for supporting at the very last moment to accrediting 5 observers. youth, Children Youth Major Group, and allowing us to host this side event. So now I'll request you to take a photo maybe after this session and capture this moment for future, because this is a history, and for the first time young people are engaging in this process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zahir. And as we close, I would like to first thank you, our audience. Thank you, the attendees. Thank you, the member states, for coming to join us. It is our first time we are doing this, and despite hiccups here and there, we really appreciate your time, and we thank you for your insights as we try to chart a path forward that will see more youths globally included in these meetings, so that the youth's voice can even be amplified more as we advocate for change and ozone protection. Other than that, thank you on behalf of my members, unless there's someone who would like to add something. Thank you.
Sorry, I think I want to add one other thing. I actually forget to thank all our Kenyan youths who have contributed and struggled with limited financial resources to take part in this process, because they are self-funding their travel. They're self-funding because they're from quite far from the Gigiri area, and they have took part for 5 days. They took notes. They guided us who are not being able to take part in the MOP35, and they have been working very hard. So special gratitude to them for all the support they provided to the other young people and to themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, before we all leave, I would kindly request that we take at least one group photo for our constituency. Thank you so much.